now we're going to get into the rest of what happened in the college football world. So we'll start with the Army-Navy game, and as always, it's an amazing scene, with the Corps of Cadets and the Brigade of Midshipmen, with the March On tradition at the beginning of the game, and just the entire game is just filled with tradition. The prisoner swap right before kickoff, just amazing. It's the best game in college football, the best rivalry in college football. It's so incredibly unique, and I would love to go there one time, and it's just an amazing game. One of my biggest takeaways is that we knew that President Trump can't do a lot right, and now another thing we can add to that list is he can't flip a coin. So shame on him for not being able to execute a coin toss. What an awful guy. But the game is always, it was another instant classic. As you throw out the records when these two teams play. Spread was 7, but you knew it was going to be a close game from the start. Navy does take the lead to start off 7-0, but Army marches back, ends up leading 13-7 at half. And that's really where, after halftime, is really see where the theme of the game is game of inches. This game was separated by 3 plays that could have altered the course of the game, but mere inches. All right, we're going to reset that. After half... Fuck. We see after halftime is really where the field gets even closer, and the theme of the game, in my opinion, is game of inches, and that's really where we see it happen. We see 3 separate plays in the second half that really alter the course of the game, and they were minuscule mistakes. Not mistakes, but minuscule plays. The first one that we see is Blake Horvath throws a pick to Justin Weaver, excuse me, and he catches the ball with his knee down for a half a millisecond. And originally he returned the interception for a touchdown, so Army would have gone up 20-7. However, they called it back, and they only scored a field goal on that drive, making it 16-7. And Army would have had a much higher chance of winning the game. I know Navy was driving at the end of the game, but Army would have been up 20-17 had that not happened. So that's one play. The second play was 2nd and goal from the 1 for Navy. Horvath runs up the middle, fumbles the ball, and right as an Army player is about to pick up a loose ball and return it 99 yards for a touchdown, Navy player, fullback / running back Alex Teska swoops in, trips him up a little, and ends up recovering the ball. I don't know if he recovered it, but the ball was recovered by Navy on their own 8-yard on the 8-yard line, and they ended up scoring on that drive on a 4th and goal from the 8, Horvath to Heidenreich, for the touchdown, which put them up 17-16, and that was really when you could feel that the game was completely tilted in Navy's favor. They had all the momentum, and Army didn't really show any signs of being able to move the ball in the second half, and you just knew that Navy was going to win the game after that. But on the last drive for Navy, it was, I believe, 2nd and 7 or whatever, and Blake Horvath had the ball, runs it up the middle, and then Army linebacker Caleb Fortner puts his head right on the ball, jars it loose, and it goes flying up in the air, but it lands right back in Blake Horvath's hands as opposed to hitting the ground or an Army player being able to recover it. And Horvath ends up stretching out. It becomes 3rd and short, and they pick up the first down the next play. That sealed the game for Navy. Army was out of timeouts, so that won them the game. Another play where had the helmet hit the ball in a different spot or the ball moves in a slightly different direction, Army would have had a chance to win, to get the ball, potentially drive to kick a game-winning field goal. That would have changed everything. So really the theme of this game is a game of inches, an instant classic, one that will be remembered for a long time. Navy does get the win. They pick up their 2nd consecutive Commander-in-Chief's trophy, so congrats, Navy. Even as an Army fan, it's a unique kind of rivalry where you completely respect your arch rival, and you're only really you want to beat them, but you're only really rivals with them for 3 hours, and then it's everyone participating is fighting for the same team. So it's a really unique game, and disappointing to lose, obviously, from an Army perspective, but they gave it their all like they always do, and you can walk out of the game with the head held high. So at the end of the day, disappointing, but they still have a bowl game. Both teams do. And it was just a great game, and it's a great spectacle to watch. So that's all we'll talk about for the Army-Navy game. Some of the other noteworthy news that came out this week, kind of jarring and disturbing, for multiple reasons, but Michigan firing Sherrone Moore with cause. And this is just like an awful situation, both by Sherrone Moore and the university. Sherrone Moore has been charged with multiple things. Third-degree home invasion, 2 misdemeanors. For his affair with his executive assistant at Michigan. He's also married and has 3 children, so even more jarring. And the New York Times put out an article today saying that there were multiple accounts of domestic violence within this relationship. So a horrible look for Sherrone Moore. Clearly just not a good person at all. Whatever happens, I hope justice is served in whichever way possible. But also, again, Josh Pate is not an investigative journalist. He's a college football reporter. But he tweeted a while ago saying that there's going to be a surprise job opening. This was like a month ago. And now he's come out and said, like, this is what he was talking about. So that means the university knew about this situation and chose to withhold the information. And it's disgusting that they did this. They held it after National Signing Day just to land their recruits, especially Savion Hitter, their 5-star running back. And it's shocking that they would do this. It doesn't surprise me at all, because this is the type of thing that you see out of Michigan and Ohio State, especially in recent years. But it's baffling that this is how they're going to go about this. They don't have a coach. Biff Piggy, their intern who took over for Sherrone Moore when he was suspended earlier this year, is going to coach their bowl game. I don't know what they're going to do about their coaching vacancy. They're linked to DeBoer, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially if DeBoer manages to win this game against Oklahoma. He's not going to leave. But I don't know what they're going to do. Sherrone Moore did not have a great tenure. 8-5 last year, now 9-3. I mean, I thought it was progress, but I clearly not really up for debate that he had to go. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's a horrible look for Sherrone Moore. It's a horrible look for the University of Michigan. They've already had multiple recruits request to be released from their national letter of intent. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I think they might go after Kenny Dillingham, but Dillingham wasn't really buying into those rumors. So they're just in an awful situation where there's been so many coaching changes, and they had to fire their coach for cause. So just an all-around bad look for Sherrone Moore at the University of Michigan, and I don't really know how they're going to rebound. It could be a really off year for them, like it will be for Penn State, but we'll see. So we'll get into a bit more of college football playoff predictions. We'll start off the bat with the 2 lopsided games. I think Ole Miss will take care of Tulane by double digits. We already saw them beat them by 30 earlier this year, and although a lot of the coaching staff will leave for LSU, they are coming back to help them out for this game. So they are coming back for this game. So They are coming back for this game, so we will see a full coaching staff, well, besides Lane Kiffin, for Ole Miss, so I don't think that'll be an issue. And then I think Oregon will obviously take care of James Madison. You know, it's very hard to have these Cinderella upsets in football as it is to basketball, and I don't see this happening. I respect James Madison's sports news on Twitter for keeping us entertained throughout the past 2 weeks, but I can't see anything really going further with that. And then the Friday night game is Oklahoma hosting Alabama. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be pretty boring. I wouldn't expect a lot of points because both offenses kind of suck. John Mateer and Ty Simpson are a shell of their former selves. Neither of them can really advance the ball. John Mateer has the thumb issue, and Ty Simpson just learned how to stop throwing a football. And at the end of the day, I like Alabama in this game just based on pedigree. Even though it's not a Nick Saban team, Alabama is Alabama, and they will find a way to win this game, in my opinion. When push comes to shove, they know how to get it done, and I think they will. And even though they're not playing well, I think that they would have a decent shot against Indiana, just based on individual talent alone. Indiana is a much better team, but Alabama does have the better individual players. So I think that Alabama wins this game in a very tight one. I think it's going to be, my prediction would be 23-20, maybe 20-17. I'll stick with 23-20, but I see this as like a very close 3-point game, potentially on a game-winning field goal. And then the other exciting game, this is one that I've been looking forward to for the last 2 weeks. I've been amped up. I was waiting for Miami to finally break through and make the playoffs, and they did. And I really like them in this game. I think that A&M has given them a lot of bulletin board material. The running back said that their defense isn't going to be an issue because they said that Missouri's wasn't either. This isn't Missouri. Watch out. And the offensive lineman said that Ruben Bain's not going to be an issue. Oh boy. The one thing that will be the biggest factor for Miami is they have not played at a crowd of more than 60,000 people this year, and Kyle Field is going to be rocking 100,000 plus. That place is going to be a zoo. Miami's lucky it's not a night game. It really should be. If it was a night game, Miami would be screwed. They did play there in 2022. They lost 17-9. That was a whole different team. I think Miami has what it takes to win. I think that Carson Beck knows how to handle these environments in the SEC. He's done it before. And I think that Miami will be able to weather the storm. It'll be a much higher scoring game than the Alabama-Oklahoma game. But I'm going to go with Miami 34, Texas A&M 27. I think Miami gets the job done. I think they win by a touchdown. And I think that they could potentially be on their way to shocking Ohio State if this goes to plan. Carson Beck is playing with a chip on his shoulder. Everyone's counting him out. And I really think this is the time where he gets it done and shows everyone why he was the number one transfer, why he was a Heisman frontrunner at multiple points in the season. And I think Miami pulls this one out. So we'll see how those picks age. I'm hoping they age well, obviously. I'm super excited to watch these games. I wish it was a primetime game, a night game. However, they gave A&M Miami the 12 o'clock slot, which sucks. I don't know why they're giving Tulane and James Madison the 4 and the 7. I don't know what to say on that one. But it's going to be a great 2 games of college football, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that's going to be all for this episode of the No Huddle podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.